evening, everybody. Welcome back to PSGL. George Morgan here, your commentator, alongside me, TK, who is going to be rounding off the season with me. Down the inside, absolutely possible scene. This is for the win between these two.
I'm on the edge of my seat.
He needs to get it done now.
Blakey will dive to the inside.
We're robust. We got our elbows out.
Bronner takes the lead.
Because here comes Alfie Butcher.
Can't really complain with that one.
It's not going to be easy. The pressure is on, of course.
Jarno Watmere is your champion.
Well, hello everybody. That was two words trying to form into one. And welcome back to yet another edition, of course. It is Monday Evening Manners. It is Premier Sim Gaming League's PSGL PSF1 returning to your screens as we trade the Spanish coastline for the shores of the Caspian Sea, touching down in a true cauldron of motorsport chaos, the Baku City Circuit in Azerbaijan. This could be an absolute barnstormer, everybody. Last week, Season 42 kick-started with an absolute bang, I think it's fair to say. Some brilliant battles up and down the field in Catalonia, where it was Snacks who held off a relentless late barrage from Mats van der Geest to snatch the opening victory of the season. But we know very, very well that the form guide is often sent straight to the shredder when the concrete walls of Azerbaijan are on the agenda. Concrete walls of Azerbaijan, too many tongue twisters. Once again, though, commandeering Commentary Corner, returning to action. Myself, Tom Wilkinson, alongside me it is Logan Skelton. This should be very exciting, Logan. Baku on the F1 games as well. It's an interesting one.
Yes, of course, it's been about 10 years since this track was implemented into the world that is Formula One. It is quite a mix of right angles and crazy corners. Literally, the first 6 corners or 7 corners are pretty much 90-degree turns. That includes the chicane of 5 and 6. And then you go through the castle section of turn 8, which, it can make you say, I am stupid. Before going around the old city and then what seems like a long straight that goes on forever once you get out of turn 16 with a few kinks to navigate as well. This is a crazy test of precision and speed combined onto a street circuit that is, of course, in Baku, Azerbaijan.
Very special venue, I think it's fair to say. Yeah. Obviously, it came in 2016, and I think we almost treated it still as the European Grand Prix back then. Remember when we had the European Grand Prix? We would usually go to the Nürburgring, for example, or Brands Hatch, I think, at some point in the past. Donington, another one, but has turned into the Baku City Grand Prix, the Azerbaijan Grand Prix, and it is an enjoyable one, and on the game it usually brings a bit of chaos. There's usually some rain as well, so let's not beat around the bush. This could get even more exciting. But we mentioned what happened in Spain a few days ago, 7 days ago to be precise. Let's just have a look at how that leaves the standings. Of course, we've only had one race, and it is Snacks that is leading the way. Lawrence took pole position but couldn't quite hold on to it, with Mats van der Geest charging late on up to the back of the Williams. One more lap and the result could have been very different. But this week we're missing a few drivers, but notably 3 of the top 5 finishers from last week not present. Max van der Geest isn't here for the first time in a long while. Sieb also, who was adventurous, box office, some of the battles we saw from Sieb, charging through the field from 13th on the grid to finish 4th. And Polymaki as well, not here this week. So this presents an opportunity first and foremost to Snacks and Lawrence, who did lock out the front row in Spain 7 days ago, but also for somebody to emerge from the pack. We've got 15 drivers that have said they're going to be driving this evening. Touch wood that we do get 15. Maybe even somebody decides that they're going to have a late change of heart. But it does present a lot of opportunities, especially, Logan, around a circuit that is the personification of unpredictability.
Yes, of course, 2016 was a bore fest. 2017 was absolutely nuts. 2018 was absolutely nuts. 2019 was probably meh. 2020 obviously didn't happen. 2021 looked quiet until the very end, and we all know what happened there. 2022, I keep forgetting what happened in 2022. I know Sergio Perez won. But yes, it can provide some insane action on a good day. But, of course, we can't forget about 2024. Sainz and Perez crashing. 2025, of course, the infamous start that may have cost Piastri the title.
Maybe.
But in the game, maybe, I think it did. The whole weekend cost them it. But yes, this is a this is a really tough track, especially in qualifying. If you make one mistake, that is the end of your lap. You're going to have to go again. And if you crash in the wall, that is your session over. So this is the problem with street circuits. So I think a lot of them, you make one wrong move, that is your session over, perhaps.
You feel like the walls are closer around a circuit like
gravel.
this as well. Less so gravel around here, but yes, those walls, some really difficult ones that jut out as well. I'm sure we'll talk about them as we head into qualifying. Setup headache as well, because you really need a low drag rocket ship down that massive start-finish straight. Then you need the confident rear tyre wear is going to be crucial as well. This is a significantly rear limited circuit, so watch out for that one. It's going to be very difficult. And finding that aerodynamic compromise is an absolute nightmare. But we have good news, everybody. You absolutely know what's coming. Let the pros do the hard work for you, because courtesy of our sponsors, the wonderful people over at Sim Racing Setups, you don't need to come up with your own setups. They have got you absolutely covered with their Pro F125 car setups, created and developed by the drivers you see competing week in, week out here at Premier Sim Gaming Leagues. Whether it's esports or just simply stable setups that you're after, they've got you for every single circuit. 27 circuits on the F125 game, all of them available for £49.99. Do the maths, £49.99 divided by 27. That equals pretty darn good value, if I don't say so myself. All available at simracingsetup.com, which is linked in the description of this stream, and you can use the code PSGL at checkout for a lovely 5% discount on your purchase. Make sure you do that as well. Best in the business, and they'll be trying to use it around a circuit which we've said a number of times is very, very challenging. Lots of 90-degree corners. Turn 1 and turn 2 are going to be interesting on the opening lap. The castle sections you mentioned, Logan, a big headache for drivers in the early stages when everything's very congested. Turn 15 though, that's a really big one. That horrible curb at the inside. The wall is so tight to the outside as well. There's basically no runoff unless you go down the big escape road on the entry into 15. Remember back to 2018, I think it was, the two Toroses in qualifying nearly had an enormous accident with Gasly, I think it was, approaching Hartley at about 300 kilometers an hour, nearly rocket shipped over the back of him. But then that long straight, the long run, over 30 seconds, your foot is flat to the floor by the time you come out of 16 until you brake again for turn 1.
Yes, that is quite a scary part, as of course we've had things like Verstappen crashing on after his tyre is blown. Of course, he had that crash with Ricardo in 2018. I get very scared when drivers drive down here at high speed and go wheel to wheel, because if one accident happens, and that car has a risk of flying in the air at high speed if it hits the wrong part of the car. It's just so scary, but it is part of the thrill of Formula One. You know, seeing these drivers put their careers and put their point scores on the line for the sake of entertainment. You know, there's no quite a thrill like it.
100%. And it is going to be challenging on the opening stanzas in particular. Before we head into our 18-minute qualifying session, let's just have a quick look at what we can expect in season 42. We started off in Spain last week. It was a really nice way to start the season. We thought it might be a bit of a damp squid. It most certainly wasn't. Lit fire at about the 50% distance, and then we had quite the battles coming to the end of the race. Azerbaijan this week, and then we head to another bit of a modern classic, isn't it? The Red Bull Ring in Austria, before we have a break heading stateside in the middle of March with the United States Grand Prix at the Circuit of the Americas in Austin, Texas. Zandvoort and Interlagos following, with Singapore, Spa, and then our Arabian doubleheader to finish off the season. Abu Dhabi and then Saudi Arabia. Both myself and Logan very much looking forward to Saudi Arabia, considering the history that we have at that venue.
Yeah, don't remind me. It always seems to happen. Every time we go there, there's going to be a crash at turn 27.
Without
and it's
fail.
happened 3 races in a row, yeah. We're just getting invites for some reason. Someone disappeared. So it looks like we've got 14 in right now.
Not great.
14
14 drivers.
now. 15.
Oh, we are up to 15. That's excellent. I mean, we still had, I think, 10 people, might even be 11 people that have decided on round 2 that they are busy. Answers on a postcard. Leave that to yourself. I think we've spoken about it so much. Both of us have been on PSGL, PSF1 for a while. I think I've been on for the last 3 seasons. You've been on for the last 2 seasons, Logan. And it is frustrating sometimes to see the attendance, especially compared to some of the lower divisions as well, that the attendance typically is a little bit better. But we're not far away from getting qualifying underway. I can actually see the green ticks appearing down the side of the menu, and the timer is ticking down, so we will be getting underway shortly. If you're new to PSGL, first of all, welcome in. Make yourselves at home. We should be in for a cracker tonight, myself and Logan taking you through it, but we kickstart things with an 18-minute short qualifying session, and then we head straight into a 50% race around the Baku city circuit. That will equate to 26 laps of running, unless we reach the time limit, of course, which is possible, especially if we have some rain and some safety cars. But the safety car hasn't really made too many appearances over the last couple of seasons. We did, though, have one last week for the first time since season 40.
Yeah, we did. But we discovered it wasn't Berl Nylander. He was still on holiday, not realising the season actually started. I do believe he's back now. They actually had to get a driverless replacement instead. Yes, well, it is driven by AI, to be fair.
It is technically driven by AI, and they did a very good job of not crashing. We do have a couple of penalties to talk about from last week as well, just before we get started. Not too many things, just to keep you up on. But there was a collision early on between Jordan and Simone Mara. That was what brought out the safety car. Jordan having their front left tire, I think it was, ripped from the car, and Simone Mara picking up a 5-second post-race penalty and 2 points on their licence. There was a qualifying incident as well involving Simone Mara and Melwin Etherman, but neither driver picking up any form of penalty. And the last one, actually two more, one of them with no further action. That was Simone Mara again. That's 3 for 3, maybe a bit of a theme. And Dirk, again, no wrongdoing. This time it was Dirk who was the accused. And Phil managed to get their 3-second penalty removed because of a warning from being pushed off circuit. So those are the changes that we see, and nothing actually affected the final point scoring standings. But I'm delighted to say that as we switch screen, there you can see the sun glistening down on the camera lens. 15 drivers in the lobby. It's a racing bull that is going to venture out first. That will be Dirk, I am sure of it, the first to move out onto this very, very interesting circuit. It's a track where it is actually quite difficult to build up a rhythm and build up the flow, isn't it?
Yeah, it can be, especially when you've got all these walls around you. Here we go, 15 cars making its way out there. We have, I can get my glasses on. We have 2 Red Bulls, we have 2 Williams, we have 2 Saubers. We have 2 Haas's, 2 Ferraris. We look like we only have 1 Alpine, 1 Aston Martin, 1 Mercedes,
Thank you for the roll call.
and 1 McLaren. So every team represented, but half the drivers have a second. So it's 1.5.
100%. And it's an interesting one for the Constructors' Championship as well. Williams currently leading that after Snack's victory in round number 1. 3 points ahead of Red Bull. Alpine, the only other team in double digits. The 3 non-scorers, Sauber with Tico and White Sheep. Ferrari, last season's Constructors' Champions Ferrari, with Nico and Gavros. Both of them were residing in the top 5 with 5 laps to go, but various dramas for the pair of them left them 14th and 17th at the flag. And V-Carb with Dirk and Jordan, neither driver seeing the checkered flag. Dirk called it a day pretty early on. I think he only made it 3 laps into the season. But we're riding on board with last season's Monaco Grand Prix winner, the number 2 on the car, looking to try and pick up his and the team's first points of the season as you bury the throttle pedal into the floor of this Racing Bulls car. Yep. And you don't take it off until you are just brave enough to brake as late as you possibly can for turn 1.
Yeah, we see him going to try and find the optimum braking point for turn 1. Looks like it was just before the 100-meter board. Right angle into turn 1 and now into turn 2. Cuts across the curb, just grazes the wall, but it looks like he's okay. And then the DRS is on down the back stretch to turn number 3. Guess what? It's another 90-degree left-hander. Careful, always touch the wall, you don't want to be doing that. First right-hander of this course, turn 4, and he's hit the wall again. I mean, some places the hitting the wall or grazing the wall rather could help, but that's not. He's done it again, and he doesn't do it that time, turn 6, but turn 5, he just pretty much whacked it with his left tyre. Now this corner is very easy to invalidate on because of the awkward placement of the curbs. But then it's turn 8, don't mess it up here. He has not. And now through the castle section, goes a little wide there, but it still stays out of bounds, in bounds. the white line on the outside is there, and then you come hurtling through these turns around the old city before breaking into a left-hander. Very easy to mess up with that humongous curve in the way. And then it's to the final corner before the long stretch and a couple kinks before that. 1, 2, and 3. Oh, he's hit the wall again! It was like the most obvious hit of the whole thing. They didn't even need to do that, but now find the DRS on and the long run down to the finish line. Don't forget to brake and lift off when you have crossed the line, of course, because that is a very short run. 1:37.546 is the time to beat. Jaden cannot beat that, but we have the Sauber of White Sheep not able to beat that as well. Half a tenth off. And it looks like the Haas of Kevin Zunneberg is going to be crossing the line next. And it will be only 4th. So driver struggling to crack the barrier.
Somehow Dirk is still quickest, even though that lap was so messy. You could tell going through the castle section he lost all confidence, but still they keep coming through and they keep going slower. 37.7 for Zunneberg, 37.8 for Nico. The second Sauber of Tico to P3 on a 37.6. Last week's pole sitter Lawrence to the line. Can he eclipse it? No, it's a terrible lap time of a 38 flat. We question what's going on here. Moen Efferman maybe a distant slipstream from RW06 who goes I don't know, but Moen Efferman does go fastest though, with a 37.4, RW06 invalidating, but finally somebody breaks the benchmark set by Dirk. I'm surprised, to be fair. It's taken so long as we jump on with last week's winner, DRS flat wide open. Does Snacks go to the top? No, identical time set to the one that Dirk put in.
Yeah, but because Dirk set it first, he gets the position. That's the rules, because they had less rubber on the track at that time. The only 2 times it's happened in real life to determine pole position were the 1987 European Grand Prix in Jerez, 1:21.072, I believe it was, between Villeneuve, Schumacher and Frentzen. And then the second time was the 2024 Canadian Grand Prix, in which Russell and Verstappen set the exact same time, and Russell got the...
Oh, Gavroche, big hit in the wall. Sorry to just jump in there. Took way too much curb through 15. Braked way too late as well. Gave the wall a massive clobber, but somehow has picked up no damage from that one and continue relatively unscathed. Bit of traffic to deal with through turns 18 and 19. The only driver yet to set a time on the ball, but RW06 with a mistake on their first flying lap, leaving them on a 2:01.0, and Gavroche is going to return to the pits after that tete-a-tete with Barrier.
Yeah, oh, and someone's hit the wall. That's RW06. I think he was invalidated anyway, so it doesn't make much of a difference. He's lost his swing. Yes, the other time the times were tied for pole position was the Canadian Grand Prix 2024. Russell and Verstappen set a 1:12 flat, 1:12.000, but of course Russell set it first, and then he went on to win the Grand Prix. No, actually, no, it was Verstappen. Sorry, Russell won it
25.
the year before. Yeah, he won 25. Sorry, I get mixed up. Russell only finished 3rd.
It was an interesting one. Norris 2nd, Piastri was 3rd until the last few laps before both Mercedes pulled past. Another victory for Max Verstappen early in 2024 that helped him keep hold of that championship despite the Lando Norris bottle job in Brazil right at the end of the season, where he could have taken the title gap down to below 20 points. As it was, it extended up to over 50, and that was Verstappen's championship signed, sealed and delivered. Dirk is back out on circuit with just over 10.5 minutes remaining, somehow still in second place. So that was clearly speedy. It was just very, very messy and untidy. Hit the wall about 6 times, I think, at various stages throughout the lap. Turn 2, 3, 4, 5. Definitely hit it through 15, and maybe even 16 as well. So you would imagine there is still some time left on the table.
Oh yeah, definitely. This is just the first run. By the way, massive sunset in the way as well, but I think that's normal for Baku qualifying in the real world. So I do believe the rules are they have to set it at the correct official time, unless specified in the statements that they put out.
And shadows are actually quite
briefings.
difficult to deal with because they can really mess up your vision, mess up your braking markers. It can sort of shade in some of the braking markers because not all of the drivers will be using the standard 150, 50, 100 meter balls as their braking points. So it can just make life a little bit harder.
It can, yes. They could. I'm surprised they haven't come to like the drivers have not come to a consensus to like change the official time of day, but you know, that's something that could be brought up in the future if the drivers agree on it. But everyone out for their second lap except for Melvin. Well, I say that now he gets on track. Gosh, these cars, looking at them, they look so wide. I'm actually somewhat half glad the 2026 season is almost here, and the DLC, of course. But Dirk starting his second lap. Let's see if he can keep it out of the wall this time. And he hits the curb immediately. Now into turn number 2. Keeps it out of the wall that time. Much better on the curb, in my opinion, than that first run. Now down to the third turn. Ignore the yellow flags. He's going to have to get through all the traffic, by the way, which isn't great. And well, he did touch the wall there, but not as hard as it was the last time. Didn't touch the wall at 4 either. 5 and 6 now, the first chicane. Very easy to make a mistake, Oscar. Round 7 now. Oh, cuts across, but it's okay because he had a wheel on whilst he crossed it. Nicely through the castle. There's not a rascal through there. How about the old city? In 7th gear, I should mention. Didn't use the 8th gear, and he's rattled the wall. He's got 7.7 laps of fuel left. He should be fine to go full throttle down the stretch. The less fuel, the better, because of course you're not carrying as much weight as you were when you have much more of it, obviously. Just don't use it as ballast like you did 21 years ago. Down the stretch we come. Dirk going to try and topple Melvin Efferman's time. Oh, he's well clear. 4.5 tenths faster than last time, and that's going to be a time to beat. 1:37.104, T-Dub.
These times are going to get significantly faster. Snacks is up by half a second through the first sector, but he clouts the wall into the castle section, chips off part of his front wing of the second part, and that is last week's winner in the barrier. Continues on, but this lap is going to be absolutely meaningless. Provisional pole sitter, formerly Melvin Efferman, hits the wall as well coming out of turn 3. So drivers really pushing the extremities of the track and the track limit. Zane up to 4th on a 37.5. The two Saubers early round their lap. Up to P4 again for last week's pole sitter Lawrence. Jane to 6th as Lars Kramer will jump back into the pits. We will return though to Melvin Efferman, who gets all loosey-goosey there coming through turn 7. Really committed though through the castle section. Will jump on board with the Mercedes, keeping it really tight, using the curves to his advantage. They will be your friend, but they can also be your foe if the car bottoms out. In particular, on the run down into 15, the drivers will try and use as much space over to the right-hand side. Dirk was using all of the curb and almost Tony Hawking over it. Melvin Efferman slightly over to the left as Phil to 3rd, Zunerberg to 2nd. Some of the big guns getting pushed further down. RW06 to the front row, now half a tenth down on Dirk, but Melvin Efferman up by 1/3 of a second, keeping the foot planted to the floor and trying to take as much time as possible. Tico to P3, 37.2. Still Dirk atop the timing chart, but can the Silver Arrow splash past the Racing Bulls as we come up to cut the beam? Will it be pulled back for Melvin Efferman? No! Misses it by 0.03 of a second.
1:01.39 for Melvin, so gets him 2nd place. And RW06 up there in the White Bull on the podium spots right now, and Tico rounding out the 2nd row. But of course there is a lap to go after this, so you never know what can happen in that final lap. We'll just have to wait and see if Dirk's time will hold for pole position and that bonus point you get, which pretty much sums up as insurance, just in case something in the race goes awry. But 14 other drivers are wanting that pole position, and I can tell you, Gav Roch, the only driver outside 1:37s, he's nearly a full second down. Bar him, everyone is within 6 tenths.
Very, very
slim
tight.
margins, especially for a race, for a street circuit.
technical circuit as well, although maybe sometimes the technical aspect is overplayed. Yes, we've got some really narrow parts. The second half of the lap in particular is very technically challenging. Castle section, turn 15, 16, but turns 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6, like you've said a couple of times, just 90-degree corners, left, right, switchback chicanes as well. So it's all about rhythm and flow and just trying to pick your braking point, not chop off the corner too much on the inside, not get too dicey with the barriers. We've seen a couple of drivers just grazing the wall coming through turn 1. That's one of the corners where the wall does really jut out on the exit, and you've just got to adjust your line, not carry too much speed, because in a normal circuit, you'd have that little bit of runoff area and that little bit of leeway. Around this circuit, you most definitely do not have that room for error.
No, absolutely not. So everyone coming in for their final stop before the final lap, of course. Trying to talk things over, look at where they've gone wrong, tweak the setups a bit. Can't tweak up the setup that much though, because when you've gone out for the first time in qualifying, it's locked in almost completely. So we can only change certain parts of the car when it comes to setups. And that's what the Kickstarter team will be doing, as you can see on your screen. Lars Kramer has already made his way out the Red Bull. What will be his final lap, or maybe 2. He has fuel for 2 laps. 2 full laps, that would be. And he will definitely, perhaps, unless he has a crash, he will definitely have a shot at 2 full laps. Unless he crashes into the wall or goes too slow around the corners. 3 minutes, make that. Yeah, sure he'll get around for 2.
Definitely has that time in hand. And it is interesting that drivers choose to use that safety net of giving themselves the opportunity if they've still got the fuel. Remember, because this is a game, this isn't real life, you can technically only fuel for 2 flying laps, because if you run out of fuel on your in-lap, it doesn't matter, because we cut to the spectator cam, we go straight into the standings menu. So you can underfuel more than you would do in real life, of course, where you have to make it back to the pits. Otherwise, you get disqualified, as Lewis Hamilton did. Remember, back the Spanish Grand Prix of 2012, won, of course, by Lord Pastor Maldonado.
Yeah, what a day. Would never happen these days, obviously, but we'll leave the politics to another day. Here comes Lars Kramer down the stretch for his final lap. He's got to improve by nearly 6 tenths to get pole position. And he would like to get higher up the order. If you get into the top 10, you need to improve by at least 1 tenth and 1/3. So through the first 2 corners he goes. Looks perfectly fine. And down the stretch he goes in the vanilla Red Bull, as I call it. You know, it's not even vanilla at all, it's more like blueberry. To turn 3, looks perfectly fine, and he's going to have some traffic ahead in a few corners. That would be those drivers starting 1 full lap, I'd imagine. So Lars will have the first and last laps of this session, unless he overtakes someone in traffic, or decides to, come in early. Through the castle section, he just sweeps through it. He doesn't seem to hesitate at all. And that's what it can take sometimes. If you feel brave, just send it through turn 8, and it could save you a lot of time, but it could also ruin your entire session. To the infamous turn 15. Look at all these cars coming across. He's got to be careful. Uh-oh. His teammate's there in front of him. He gets out of the way. I don't think that'll be too much of a loss on RW6. Lawrence has had an
it in turn 3.
Yeah, he has. Where is it? Yeah. Oh no! And Nico's crashed into him. He thought he was ghosted. That is very unfortunate.
Lars Kramer to the line, only P7, 37.4, is a long way ahead of everybody else, and we saw there how quickly it can bite, and it's ruined 2 drivers' lap times and 2 drivers' sessions. Dirk, though, up by a quarter of a second. Through the first couple of sectors, clouts the barrier though through turn 13. Provisional pole sitter pushing very, very hard, but has blitzed the rest of the middle sector and the rest of the lap up by nearly 4/10. And we should be dipping our toes into the 36s. Another crash has gone on, I've heard it. I think it's another Ferrari that's come a cropper through the castle section. Williams going slowly as well. Might be Nico again, trying to get out of the way, but causing a few shenanigans. As here is Nico. Thank you. Provisional pole sitter to the line. Are we in the 36s? You bet we're in the 36s, and to some tune, 36.777 or 776. It's saying a couple of different times. Melwin Efferman, though, is still a long way back. Closest challenger. Phil is done. We wait for Tico. Coming up to turn 16 through it. Big snap of oversteer on exit. Is up by a couple of tenths, but that isn't going to help because this will cost you time all the way from 16 to the start-finish line, which is 20 seconds of flat-out racing. Zunerberg is a little bit further back. White Sheep up to the line in the other Sauber. Up onto the front row, but still a quarter of a second down on Dirk. Pressure on for these drivers coming through. Tico, can he try and nab it back from his teammate? And there is the time that was lost with the slide coming out of turn 16. RW06 has been in the wall. It is down to Melwin Efferman, you would say. Last week's race winner, 2 Snags, still out there trying to find time. Melwin Efferman clouts the barrier. Hits the wall once again. Zunerberg 5th. Tico 6th. Jaden 7th. RW06 is done. Phil, Max Bricker 9th and 10th. What can Efferman do? Bailing to the pits.
Dead.
That is not good. Snags is only 8th. The big guns have fallen by the wayside. Nico, obviously, with no front wing. Last week's pole sitter is 12th. Last week's race winner is 8th. And Dirk has absolutely stormed it by nearly 3/10 of a second.
I was literally a country mile he got it by. So pole position for Dirk, and he gets the bonus point as we wait for Melvin to retire in the pits, of course. But wow, that was a lap, and I completely missed it because I was trying to focus on all the other craziness happening behind it. Of course, Lawrence having that crash. Poor Nico actually crashed into the car. He thought it was going to be ghosted. It wasn't. I'm going to see if there's any reaction to the results. Why have I got admin here for some reason?
Well, as you go through that, I'll go through the rest of the order. Dirk by a quarter of a second. That is a big old margin in top tier on PlayStation side. White Sheep on the front row. It's an all Dutch front row with Melwin Efferman just behind. RW06 and Kevin Zunerberg, your top 5 separated by just over 4/10. Tico, Jade and Snags down in P8. Lars Kramer and Phil the top 10. Max Bricker just outside with Lawrence 12th after crashing in turn 3. Zane, Nico and Gavroche. Ferrari bringing up the rear.
Yeah, apparently Lawrence left the session after his crash. That's a bit unsporting.
Well, you've got to get your skates on to get back in. Otherwise, that AI is going to start for you, and you are going to be very, very slow. The sun is out, and the weather is set fair as we prepare for the 26 laps of the Baku City Circuit. Remember what we spoke about earlier. Rear tyre wear. Very, very rear limited circuit. You are going to have to baby those rear tyres. The hard tyres are going to be the best race tyre as they are traditionally on the F1 game and have been for the last couple of years. The soft tyres, I'd be surprised if they make an appearance, to be honest, unless we see a late race safety car. So many times, both of us say you want to keep a set of soft compound tyres in your back pocket in case of a late race safety car. On this occasion, maybe if you've got another set of mediums with 5 laps to go, that might be the play.
It might be indeed. So I'm just looking at what they are trying. There's a mixtures of mediums going on and hards. It was initially all hards, but the mediums are being slapped on by 7 of the drivers now. Half the grid, maybe more. Yeah, I see another one. I'm not going to say which drivers. I think they're all going to go mediums.
Wouldn't be surprised if they do. Maybe also a bit of a safety net as well. If they get damage on the opening lap and they've got a set of hard compound tyres on, the rest of the race is going to be very, very tricky. You can't really extend hard tyres 25 laps, but you don't want to waste your set of hard tyres, the good set of hard tyres, if you do get damage on the opening lap. Will we see a safety car? I'm not 100% sure. Didn't see one at Monaco last season, but we did last week, last time out in Spain. First safety car in over 15 PSGL PSF1 races. That is one of the longest stints we have ever had without Bernd Mailander making an appearance. And technically, that still goes on because he didn't make an appearance because there was nobody driving the Mercedes, I think it was last week, safety car around the Catalunya circuit.
Oh, it wasn't. But here we are then. Waiting for the start. I can't wait. This is going to be an interesting start as usual.
Short run down to turn 1. Very, very tight. Pinch point at the apex. Pinch point at the exit as well. And with some of the big names from last week in particular down the order, this first lap is going to get very, very dicey. Opportunity to make up places, of course. The heavy braking zone into the tight, but very opportunistic 90-degree left-handers of turn 1, turn 2 and turn 3. If you can slide it down the inside of turn 4, you'll be a brave man to try, but it could net you a couple of places and put you in a much better position heading into what is traditionally a single file chicane of turns 5 and 6. Definitely through turn 6. Very, very tight. You can't really use the curb too much on the inside because it will throw you into the wall that is waiting so close on the left-hand side. And then turn 7 into the castle section. Who will come a cropper in the castle on the opening lap? And where will the carbon fibre confetti rain from? As we wait like last week for the drivers to ready up, it took an absolute age. I think it was about 4 minutes we were left waiting last time around. We've been told we go at 29. It has just ticked to 29 minutes past 8 UK time. And fingers crossed we will be getting started in the not too distant future. Slipstream are going to be a big factor as well, not just on the opening run from turn 2 into turn 3, but of course out of turn 16. We could be 2, 3, maybe even 4 wide if the drivers are feeling racy enough at the end of the opening lap. But dirty air is still very much a factor. If this was F1 24, I would be slightly more confident of an absolute barnstormer of a race. But with the dirty air, we still have to try and work it out. And it will make for a fascinating dynamic.
Oh, it will. Definitely.
The anticipation. I mean, we've said we're going at 29. This happened last week where, I mean, everybody got stage fright. Nobody was willing to hit the button. Fuel is something we haven't spoken about either, just quickly before we get going. The fuel burn's going to be high. A lot of the percentage of this lap is spent at full throttle. We have some different names towards the front. It's Dirk on pole with White Sheep alongside. Short run to turn 1. Pole sitter on the outside. And we are racing for the second time this season at the Baku City Circuit. Terrible start for Dirk under pressure. Almost immediately, White Sheep to the inside. Dirk is brave though, holding it around the outside with Merwin Efferman nipping at the heels of the leading duo. But down the inside again into 2. Gets all up over the curb as the Ferrari bulldozing into turn 2. Dirk again, though, rebuffs the assault from White Sheep. Got to be careful because Merwin Efferman sniffing an opportunity, smelling blood down into turn 3. But they're still single file, first, second and third. RW06 in control of 4th position as well. But both Ferraris have come a cropper again. Diving to the inside, last week's winner, championship leader Snacks on the button trying to make up places. He's just picked the pocket of the Haas of Zuneberg, who's still fighting it out down the inside into 5, having absolutely none of it, and puts some manners on the championship leader.
Great battling there, and behind as well, more battles happening, but great defense from Dirk after what seemed like a very slow start with White Sheep attacking the inside. Dirk manages to hang it around and stay in the lead, and now he has a 5/10 cushion over White Sheep and Elferman behind. For other drivers coming through the old town of, as the old city of Baku, and into turn 15. Oh, and the bollards come off immediately. So rest in peace, bollard. A moment of silence for the bollard.
Somebody hit the wall, definitely, by the way. I heard a big whack going through 15. Not sure who it was. Not sure if anybody's got damage. Jade and Tony Hawking over the curb at the exit of turn 16. Snack still very much applying the blowtorch to Kevin Zunberg after manners were put on last week's race winner. Back at the front, White Sheep in the slipstream of Dirk, who's going to blink first in this high-speed chase on the run down into turn 1. The Sauber pulls out, but doesn't fancy it. To the inside, happy to hover and sit and wait, as does Snacks, staying tucked up underneath the rear wing of Zunberg. And Tico's got to be careful. Look at that gap between themselves and RW06 in front. Do not want to lose the DRS.
All but the bottom 2 drivers are on hard tyres. Nico and Max Britta start on the hard tyres. DRS is now enabled, and this should shake up the fighting quite a bit. I don't think it's on yet. I think it'll be on the lap after, actually, because, well, the DRS will after. I don't think we deploy it for the first DRS zone at turn 2. So I do think we will see it in action. After that, the driver is now coming through the castle section. Don't make a mistake here. The last thing we want to do. It's looking very good though for Dirk, who's starting to extend description, but I do understand that White Sheep is faster on the straights. I saw him whizzing by the commentary box. It looked like Dirk was struggling to get any speed, and now Dirk is losing time to White Sheep. He's 4 tenths now.
Interesting one. Snacks as well. Their assault to the back of Zunenberg has definitely cooled, and this is where we'll see the power of the slipstream and the DRS. Efferman still right in the thick of this battle as well. White Sheep going to be trying to move forward, but has the Mercedes hot on his heels as we come to the end of the second lap. Dirk could be getting gobbled up here. Here comes the Sauber. Here comes the Merc as well. Will we be 3 wide? To the left, to the right. It's to the right for both of them. Dirk on the inside. White Sheep is through. Efferman to the outside. Given the cold shoulder by Dirk. Almost hits the wall that juts out through turn 1. Dirk now has the inside line. The opportunity to keep hold of second place. Efferman is wide. Maybe a little bit of contact, and will have to settle for remaining in third for the timing, but it's White Sheep taking the lead as it changes hands for the first time.
White Sheep clear. He was much faster on the straights. I say 3 or 4 kilometers per hour clear of Dirk, and that is a lot in this game, in this sport. And Melvin is kind of licking his lips under that helmet, looking to sniff, trying to sniff that second place off Dirk. Dirk was struggling down these straights. I think he was built more for the corners, and this is much more helpful in qualifying, to be fair. I know he's got 1 point for the pole position. How many will he add to it? Will it be 16? Will it be 12? That is the question. White Sheep still leading the field now. 2 laps have passed. Imagine it would be, is it going to be a 1 stop or a 2 stop? What do you think, T-Dub? I saw the graphic. It said 2 or 3 stops. I don't think it would be, anyone's going to be crazy to do 3 stops.
I'd be surprised if people go for the 2 stop. I know it's become a little bit more de rigueur on F1 25 compared to 24, where it was a very bog standard medium hard or hard medium. Some occasions you would go soft medium and vice versa, but I think this should be a fairly regulation strategy game. Mediums onto hards, the drivers that are on the hards at the back jumping onto the medium tyres. White Sheep looks to have the lead covered on the run into turn 1 on this occasion, actually pulling away from Dirk at the early stages. The other Sauber might be on the move though. RW6 under the microscope as we start lap 4 in the battle for position 4. Snacks already into the pits though. I wonder if that's damage for last week's race winner. We're going to jump on board. Lawrence is in as well. So the 2 drivers that started first and second a week ago currently occupying last and second last already.
I don't see any damage on the car at all. It looks like they are switching. This is routine stop. I didn't see, yeah, it was much faster. So it's definitely not a wing change. I think they're going to be doing the 2 stop.
Wow. I mean, that is brave to get shot of the medium tyres so early. Tico, by the way, has disposed of RWB. That was on the run down into turn number 3 as we were seeing the early stoppers, but just taps the barrier through turn 5, unsettles the car through 6, but RWO 6 obviously not close enough to make any real inroads. It's a very difficult overtaking spot, the run down into turn 7. If you get a really incredible exit, as again out of shape, both of them, I think RWO6 just grazed the barrier again, this time through the castle section, but it's really difficult to slide it down the inside into turn 7.
Yeah, I saw White Sheep sliding out of the castle section. It was not looking very easy, and I think Melvin might have a shot at this because he looked clean out of it. As we see, oh, that's Kevin Zunderberg hitting the wall there, and RW went right over the curve, and it looks like Findo, and Dirk is right behind him. Dirk is right behind him. He's going to try and get this position back, even with less straight line speed, and White Sheep's not going to like this one bit. And Melvin's going to be an ominous watcher behind, seeing if he can try and find a move. Maybe a White Sheep in the next corner or 2. But it's Dirk back in the lead. And Jaden is coming into the pits. As another battle behind. It's Nico and Zane. Zane in the Aston Martin. Hopefully, unlike the real car right now, is going to make some moves.
Opportunities definitely, almost pushing Nico through the apex of turn 2 there and trying to tuck into the slipstream, but doesn't get the best of exits. The hard tyres, you would say at this stage, probably especially the rears, are going to be the favoured compound. The crossover point around about now. They're such a strong race tyre on the F125 game. And Zane just having to sit behind as we enter the middle sector right now. Only one true break in the DRS train if you exclude Max Bricker at the back, who's become a little bit detached on the hard compound tyres. 2 seconds almost the gap between the leading trio and Tico in position 4, who did get past RW06, but with some work to do to try and catch those runaway leaders.
So, on to lap 5:26, which is pretty much half the race distance round here. Remember, we do 50% in PSGL, and always have, always will, unless someone decides, you know what, let's just make a Grand Prix one. What have I just started?
They do exist.
Oh, there was a slide there. That was Gavrot out off turn 15. Looks like he saved it, but it has. I think he might have a problem here. Doesn't look like he's got any damage, but he definitely lost a lot of momentum. Look how close Phil is to him now.
This could be problematic. Not going to get the DRS either, so it could be a sitting duck down the very, very long straight. Out in front, Dirk leading the way, but White Sheep in after only 5 laps on the medium tyres. RW06 joining them in the pits. We could have some strategy divergence here. Dirk, we know, likes to favour the one-stop race. Melwin Effman staying out as well. Tico third. Zunenberg up to 4th ahead of Kramer. Nico, for the time being, is 6th ahead of Phil. Then it is Zane in 8th. Phil's actually just been relegated down to 7th with the Ferrari blasting past. The hard tyres, definitely the compound you want to be on at the moment. Could this be the 2-stop race? I was expecting a bog standard 1-stop, but quite clearly, as I hear somebody hit the wall, that might have been Lars Kramer whacking the barrier through turn 3.
I like it. Doesn't seem to have done any damage to him though, so it looks like he's fine for now. Gosh, these cars are sturdier than the real car. And Kevin and Tico sliding through turn 6. It just shows how long these medium tyres last on this game. As we see the cars driving past the balconies that have got fans on it. It's a pretty fun thing to see, but I'm not sure it would be a great idea to watch from the streets, because let's just say if debris gets in the air, oh dear, that's a recipe for disaster.
That is proper carbon fibre confetti going on there. What do these leaders do now? Has White Sheep almost forced the hand of Dirk? Remember back to Mexico last season, Tony Richet, who was driving for the Scarlet Ferrari car, went for a 2-stop strategy at Mexico. Their main rivals went for the 1-stop strategy, and Tony Richet put an absolute masterstroke to win that race on the 2-stop by nearly 13 seconds. What are we doing? Dirk is in, Efferman's in, Zunenberg is going to stay out, but Tico and Lars Kramer also making their way down pit road. This could definitely be a 2-stop now for the drivers pitting so early in this race. Zunenberg continues on. Nico, obviously on the hard tyres, will soldier around there as well. Phil just starting to fall away, 1.5 off the back of the Ferrari. Then it's Max Bricker, but White Sheep with the undercut. Has it worked to get them the track position? Yes, it has. And Dirk not particularly close behind either. Just needs to make sure that gap doesn't extend too much. I heard somebody whack the ball very hard. Was that White Sheep? I think it was, but there's again no damage, and that sounded very dramatic. The wall smashing there through turn 2.
I didn't catch that, but it doesn't sound very good. But it's 6 tenths now is the gap between, well, I would say 5th and 6th, but it is pretty much a net race lead. I'm just watching with an eagle eye and my glasses on, seeing who's kept it clean through the barriers. Looks like they're all clean. I'm just looking at the top of the field now. Kevin Zunenberg now inherits the lead for Renault, because of course he is yet to pit. You have to pit in this game. It's the rules, like it or not. A sprint race, not yet. We'll get to that eventually in this race, obviously. Yes, have to pit, and Kevin Zunenberg, will he have to pit now? That's the question.
If he tries to hang this out for the 1-stop, he's not that far ahead now of the chasing pack behind. The gap's only about 8 seconds to White Sheep behind. He'll need to go another 3 laps, maybe even more to make the 1-stop work. Hard tyres are extremely good. Someone that has done a good job is Snacks. The undercut by 3 laps, getting them the track position, but just struggling to cling onto the coattails of Efferman and co in front. Fills into the pits as Zunenberg continues onwards. Nico closing up to the back just in front though. Here comes Dirk up to the rear of the Sauber, but bails out of that one, lifting off. Max Bricker though has retired in the pit lane, and that is just throwing in the towel.
Yeah, I don't think he was getting anywhere. That's a shame to see, as Nico's going to try and make a move on Zunneberg into turn 3. He's unsuccessful in doing so. He really needs to get through because he's going to try and make a move in turn 4. They bang wheels together. I think Kevin Zunneberg has to give this up. He does. And Nico's going to take the lead for now. He, of course, has to pit as well. And he started on the alternate strategy, the hard tire. He's trying to warm up those tires. Look at that, I can see them already getting some wear and tear out of them. I should mention, yeah, he started at 14th, so he's pretty much done last to first. Well, not really, because he still has a pit, and we now have a lead change, but I think it was inevitable because Kevin Zunneberg, who I'm surprised hasn't pit yet. Is he trying the one-stop?
Got to be trying the one-stop at this stage, surely. And the tactic you would imagine is just stay out until the leaders catch me, and then I'll jump into the pits, because then I won't lose time getting overtaken by all of them and having to almost wave the white flag and roll out the red carpet for the two-stoppers, blasting on through. Still the net race leader is White Sheep, 7/10 clear of Dirk, who's half a second ahead of Efferman. Snacks just staying within the 1 second window. Every lap it's a little bit touch and go for the championship leader, but Tico has actually fallen outside of 1 second to Jaden in the battle for 8th and 9th, and that is going to be bad news, especially because Lawrence is a further 2.5 seconds back down the road, so there's going to be nobody for Tico to work with to try and cruise back up. Look at this big cluster into turn 1. Efferman was very close, almost pushing Dirk. Dirk doing the same to White Sheep as Lawrence gets passed by Lars Kramer down the main straight. This battle for the net race lead will continue to rage on. White Sheep, Dirk, Efferman, through turn 2 they go. Tucked up right underneath the rear wing of the RB is the Mercedes. The same can be said for Dirk, who's switching his battery off, does not want to get anywhere near White Sheep at this stage. Very, very content on just sitting and watching and waiting in second place. Net, of course.
Yeah, these three have to pull ahead, the White Sheep, Dirk and Melvin, because the Snats and the gang are going to be catching up to them if they're going around this slow. It's going to be not a 3-way fight, but a 5, 6, 7-way fight. If the 6, 7 of Snacks can get into the action. Sorry, guys.
But look at the gap, though. It did go over 1 second, extended to over 1 second. Snacks is under the microscope, under pressure, in big trouble if he can't get his skates on. Last week's race winner went for the undercut after a poor qualifying to try and get some track position, but might have to concede defeat in the battle to RW06. Dirk very, very wild there through 14. Conceding a bit of time to White Sheep. You can see the straight line speed deficit that he has, that he tries to bring back in the corners, but White Sheep at the moment looking solid as a rock out in front. Efferman sliding through turn 16, and this is the one we want to watch. It is Snacks 1.1 off the back of Efferman, not burning battery either, or run out of battery as a jump on board. No, not burning the battery. No, nothing left at all actually. The bar, I couldn't quite see it. 0% left on the Williams, and that is elementary, my dear friend. RW06 blasting past with fresher tyres and some more ERS in the back pocket, and now needs to try and get up to the back of Efferman. Otherwise, as we saw in the first stint, the top three are going to scamper off.
They are indeed, and now the gap is 1.2 seconds. Kevin Zunneberg has not pit yet. He had a massive slide in turn 15. He's had to save it, and he's still on these tyres. It's playing a dangerous game, perhaps. Let's see what battle we've got behind. That's Gavrox, Laurent, and Zane. But it's very hard to overtake in this area of the track as Gavrox goes defensive into turn 3. He's really struggling out there, it seems. And Lawrence is going to try and take his position. 4-way battle for the 11th place, which is the first non-point paying position. But it doesn't seem like it's going to get anywhere further after this until the long stretch. Hopefully we won't hit each other into the castle section.
That they don't.
Not. Thank goodness for that. Glad commentator's curse does not apply to him.
But look at Lawrence there, shaking the back of that Alpine in the face of Zane, who's very, very close behind. I'm actually really impressed as well by the pace of Kevin Zunneberg. Yes, the two leaders have been caught by the two stoppers, but still has actually closed the gap to Nico. That was at one stage a second and a half. Nico starting to grapple for grip on 9-lap-old hard compound tyres. The tyre wear so aggressive. Does Zunneberg jump into the pits? The answer is a firm yes. That is an exceptional stint. If the one stop, well, almost rips off the front left tyre on the way into the pit lane. And now it is going to be Nico having to defend, although probably not putting up too much of a fight, to Dirk, Efferman, and of course White Sheep arriving on the scene. Snacks falling away once again. Tico right there, Jaden right there as well. Then it's Lars Kramer in a bit of no man's land. Gavroche, Lawrence, who sends it down the inside of Zayn, who's in the wall, clips the wall that juts out of the end of turn 1, just whacks the McLaren of Phil as well as the McLaren was coming through. Virtual safety car deployed, and Zayn with some big old front wing damage there. I think Zuneberg has been quite fortunate to get away with that one unscathed. Exiting from the pits, but just met with Aston Martin across the pit lane exit.
Yeah, and Tio's been given a penalty. Is that for I think he might have collided into your car.
10 seconds,
Did he crash into a wall? Did he crash into Jaden? So, well, and even worse, he's going to have to serve the 10 seconds. He's got no choice because...
He's got no front wing.
What's happening? Why is he... the VSC's enabled. I think that's what happened, was he had to slow down to avoid getting another penalty into the Delta. So it's all going wrong for Tico. He's going to be furious at that. Kevin Zuneberg, is this a right time for it to come? I think it is, honestly, because now he's got everyone right in front of him on fresh rubber, and Jaden has lost a position to Lars Kramer, and Tico gets out of the way, as you would imagine. And now Nico is absolutely going to be the massive wide boy at the front.
Yeah, this is going to be really exciting. Because look at how close the group behind are. I think Nico's got some front wing damage there as well. That might explain the drop-off in pace. Yes, missing the right-hand end plate. Through goes White Sheep. Dirk going to follow through as well. Can he try and nab the lead of this race? Melwin Efferman waiting in the wings as well. And it is still as we were. White Sheep, Dirk, Efferman with Nico down to 4th. But that front wing damage going to be a big limiting factor in the performance. Tico and Jaden, unsurprisingly, making their way into the pits. 3 wide scrap as Phil dispossesses Lawrence of what is now 8th position with Gavroche back behind the pair of them, and Kevin Zuneberg, much fresher hard compound tyres, hunting them down.
Yeah, I think Nico has to get out of the way and let RW through. There's no way he's going to get anything from this. He'll only be hindering another driver unnecessarily. It's a bit of a battle still between Lawrence and Gavroche. As you know, Lawrence gets very feisty in battles, as we have seen in past races. But Nico really starting to drop off now, and RW's like, come on, get a move on, I want to get past, I want to fight the top 3. I don't know what's going to happen here, but of course this is the castle. We're not going to make any moves here, it's that tight.
Oh, clips the wall, Nico, really struggling, this is important. RW06 has an opportunity perhaps to try and cling onto the coattails of the leading trio, does move through, but just held up. Lost nearly a second through the castle section, and that puts pay to what was an opportunity to maybe get within 1 second of Melwin Efferman.
Yeah, but it looks like he's trying to make up for that. He's had a great run out of the castle, the old town. So we'll see if that will get him any closer to the top 3 who are going to be fighting for their lives. Well, in this race anyway. It's half a second. It doesn't look like half a second. It more looks like 1 second, but that's because of the pace these drivers are doing. It is scarily fast. Dirk is going to come close to White Sheep, but it's not going to have enough chance to make a move. He remains in 2nd place as we are now approach the halfway point here in Azerbaijan.
Dirk has had absolutely no interest since he's bolted on the hard tyres in getting past. Zuneberg to the inside, to the outside, but Gavroche's going to fight it. A little bit of contact. I see some carbon fibre thrown up. I think the Haas has got away unscathed. Lawrence ducking and weaving underneath the rear wing of the Ferrari, trying every which way to put off Gavroche into the braking zone. Both of them on significantly older tyres, 5 lap, 7 lap older tyres compared to Zuneberg. Gavroche still with that front wing damage, defensive again. Lawrence with some interesting movements there. The back of the car not particularly conducive to that fast jinking on the straight.
Be very careful, Lawrence did with Gavroche in front of him. With wing damage out, see his left end plate has disappeared. He must have had a collision with Kevin Zuneberg in turn number 1. And now he's going to have to make another pit stop soon. And that's not what we want to be doing at this stage. Unless you go on for the free stop. But I don't think he wanted a wing change either. But yeah, I do believe this is going to be a 2-stop race. pending confirmation from the leaders, which, speaking of the lead, is now 7 tenths. Melvin is getting very close to Dirk. He has much more superior straight line speed. You'd imagine he'd challenge here right now. Let's see what happens then. DRS on. And Melvin Efferman starting to close up to the Red Racing Bull, but he's not going to be close enough. Further behind, Nico is going to get passed again by Snat, and now Snat's into P5. RW has dropped off. He's now only 2.7 behind. Not looking good.
You're struggling without the DRS, and this feels a lot like an F124 race, it has to be said. You want to be in second position. You want to be the man in the middle heading on to the final lap. That is why Efferman at some stage will be thinking, I need to try and get in between the Sauber and the RB. Dirk's main prerogative will be stay exactly where I am and then blast past with the helping hand of DRS and ERS on the run up to the line and take this victory away from White Sheep. He needs to try and play this tactically because Dirk is going to have absolutely no interest in moving into the lead. Will we see DRS games? That's the question. Not within the sporting regulations, it has to be said, but can never rule anything out. And if there's one place where you want to try the DRS games, maybe Las Vegas, but definitely the Baku City circuit, that 20+ second run out of turn 16 until you cut the start-finish beam. Dirk is not going to want to be, well, held up, hampered. He won't want to drop out a second. White Sheep won't want to be in the lead, and Melvin Efferman won't want to be in third.
No, he wouldn't want to be indeed, of course. It's all about the win here on PSGL. White Sheep is now trying to hold off Dirk again. The gap is 1/4 of a second. Imagine Dirk is going to get past right here, but we don't know what White Sheep's got in the tank. Is he going to hold him off here? He's got the much better straight line speed. We won't hear. The DRS is about to come on. White Sheep can sense it. He knows there's no way to go. He's going to have to let him by. Or is he? Is he going to try and move on the inside? Oh, he's colliding with Melvin. Melvin's there on the inside. I don't think he was expecting that. And now they're going to battle into turn 2. Oh, and a slide into the wall of White Sheep. It's all gone wrong. He's fell down to 3rd.
Yeah, and that was knees must there for Dirk, was realising that if he didn't go for the move, Efferman would have probably put him in his place, and the gap now between first and second is over 1 second. Does White Sheep have any significant damage after clouting the wall a couple of times, making contact with the silver arrow? The answer is no, but it has afforded Dirk the opportunity to try and cruise away. Contact further back is Nico, off in the pickets, off in the runoff area, maybe contact with Phil, but still yet to stop, and on those ailing hard compound tyres, chipped off half of his front wing. This is probably race run, you would imagine. No safety car either to spare his blushes as Dirk out front continues to soldier on away from Efferman.
Yeah, 1.5 seconds of gap. It's seeming to get much further apart, these cars. I thought it was supposed to be more exciting than the real F1, but then again, remember, there is still another pit stop for these drivers. I can't imagine these tyres going for 20 laps. At full speed. I think there'll be another pit stop. What are they going to use though?
You'd like to think there'll be another pit stop for some of them, with the exception maybe of Zuneberg, who I think will try and stretch this to the end of the race.
That'd be insane. Definitely can do it on this. I mean, Nico's on 14 laps of these tyres. Definitely can do 16. Kevin Zuneberg. But can he keep up the pace? That's the question. Dirk's in. They're all in.
Wow, so they need to hope for a really good pit stop phase. All of them locking up. Snacks in as well.
Sorry, White Sheep at the back of Melvin Efferman heading into the pits. So here they come, all into the pits, the top 4. Or top 5 rather. RW stayed out. He's the only driver in the top 5 to stop. Is there a Red Bull 1-2 for the meantime? And Kevin Zuneberg now up to P4. And the White Sheep has come in at the same time as Nico, and Nico's on the wall. And there's his teammate behind. He won't be too happy seeing that. But White Sheep comes in at a bad time. He had to come in with Nico right there. And Nico lets his teammate through. Says, sorry mate, I'll let you through now. And Nico has still got that damage, I think. Yep. And right end plate.
And the problem for Zuneberg is going for that one stop is all well and good, but only 3 seconds now ahead of this chasing trio. Dirk, Efferman, White Sheep on 5-lap fresher hard compound tyres. If Zunenberg is going to make this work, I don't think he's going to be finishing inside the top 3 unless he drops behind them and then can get dragged along at the back of that group. RW06 leading a Red Bull 1-2 as things stand. Phil 3rd, Zunenberg 4th. All of them only stopped once so far. Dirk, Efferman, White Sheep all stopped twice, along with Snacks, along with Jaden, Lawrence, Tico and Zane, who is at the back of the pack by a long, long way on a set of medium compound tyres. Mounting the curbs through 15 we go. All 3 of them flash across the screen. Shouldn't see any changing for position despite the DRS for Efferman and for White Sheep. But Dirk really trying to up the tempo here, catch up to the back of Zunenberg and maybe drop one of the 2 out of the DRS from behind.
Yeah, so Kevin Zunenberg is 2 seconds ahead of Dirk. He is 2 seconds behind Phil. RW comes in. And Larscrim stays out, so he'll inherit the lead. Doesn't seem there'll be a battle on right now. But yeah, it's giving White Sheep is still in this battle despite that scuffle with Nico out of the pits. It's and a slide from RW coming out of the pits.
Contact there, Snacks into the wall.
Snack.
Wow,
He's
wow.
collided with Snacks out of that corner, and he's not happy. Snacks is immediately getting involved, and he's going to try and get past him, and he has. So, scary moment for both, but they all both get unscathed, but that's another mistake from Snacks. Looks like he hit the wall. He has to defend into turn 4, and he stays ahead, but RW is not very happy with this. He's going to still fight this. Lawrence has lost position to Gavrok, who's just hit. And he's got, well, actually, no, Nico's the one with the broken leg. Sorry, Gavrok has just pit for a new set of hard and is now 8 seconds behind Jaden outside the point. The leader is 2.25 seconds ahead of Phil. These 2 have yet to pit, though. Of course, Kevin Zunenberg is just go-hanging for something, maybe. If there's a safety car now, I don't think it will help, but if there's a safety car in like 3-4 laps' time, and he is still ahead of Dirk, that could be a windfall right there. They would all be having to go on the mediums or soft.
Well, I think the second option is a no-go. I don't think he's going to be ahead of Dirk probably by the end of next lap, to be honest, because it's another second taken out of the Haas driver's lead on the previous tour by Dirk, who is going to be under pressure ever so slightly because Efferman's right there. The timing tower getting confused by drivers into the pits. It's Lars Kramer and Phil. Zunenberg now taking over the race lead, 1.4 ahead of Dirk, who is still down on top-end speed, courtesy of the high wings. That will help as Lawrence is in the wall. This could be the safety car you were after. Is it going to come out? Lawrence still in the wall. He's out of the race, but the safety car stays planted in the pit lane, and that was the opportunity. That would have been the opportunity for Zunenberg to try and take it. Jaden, Phil, Nico battling out of the pits. I think Nico's come a cropper again into the wall. Not for the first time.
Yeah, and he lost it in turn 2. I'm surprised. Lawrence again. Lawrence again crashing out of a race. Not what you want to see. Lawrence, I don't know what happened to him. It was off the camera. And what's happened to
Zane's had an issue. Zane's got a puncture. Zane's got a rear right puncture and has just gone past the pits. So this could be interesting. Once again, the safety car might be a possibility. The 3 leaders on the 2-stop have caught up to the back of Zunenberg, who's still out there on the 1-stop race. But we've got Zane absolutely crawling around now with 3 wheels on his wagon. That's going to be fascinating, especially if somebody catches the Aston Martin in the Castle section, who stopped again on the run into turn 2. Zunenberg has now been caught. Yellow flags flying. This could, well, pay a hefty price for one of the leaders if they go for the overtake. They've got to be careful of the yellow flags, remember. As he's crawling out of turn 2, we're on board with Zane. Going to be very difficult to make it back to the pits, but here comes Dirk with the helping hand of DRS cruising up to the back of Zunenberg. A slipstream shootout here in near the Caspian Sea, but I don't think he's close enough. It isn't close enough.
No, he's not close enough, and now they'll be approaching the corner where Zane is... Oh dear, I hope he's ghosted. I really do. Because that is a scary moment. Kevin Zunenberg has been passed by Dirk into turn 3. We go, and we have the lead back for Dirk.
Zunenberg's off. Zuneberg's missed his braking zone. Drops behind all three of them, and if there was an opportunity to keep the one-stop race going, that has been thrown in the bin by a critical error there from Zuneberg. The three leaders get past the stationary Zane, who's still only got 3 wheels on his wagon. But Zuneberg now, 4th place isn't going to be his biggest concern. Snacks catching quickly, RWO6 catching quickly, and you have to commend the attempted one-stop strategy, but it is just not going to pay out, and that mistake, losing him 5 seconds, is going to pay dividends.
Yeah, kudos to Zane for getting out of the way there. He's getting nowhere. He's going to have to retire the car. I'm sorry. I know his car is damaged. I know it's a penalty if you park it on track, but it's just too dangerous to keep running out there. He's going to have to come in. It will be the end of his race, without a doubt. Just a shame to see he went 12 laps. These tyres do not last 12 laps. Otherwise, you could have had an issue in the. You saw some places you hit the car into a wall. You could get a puncture and damage, but yeah, Zane's nowhere to go. But somewhere has to go his white sheep right behind Efferman. Going to try and attack for lead again, and Zane is still doing circles. It's the rear puncture. That's what rear punctures can do to you. Now, what's going to happen here between the leaders?
Efferman surely going to try and keep second place within his grasp. That is the ideal spot. That is the golden ticket as you start the final lap of the race. Zuneberg is being hunted down chunk by chunk by chunk. RWO6 catching very, very quickly. Snacks also going with them. The two line astern. RWO6 tucked up underneath the rear wing of the Williams. Championship leader, of course, Snacks isn't going to return to the podium this week after a poor qualifying, but still an opportunity maybe to finish in 4th place and maintain the lead of the championship with his closest rivals, most of them absent this week, which is a big plus point to try and extend the lead atop the championship table. Lars Kramer a further 4 seconds back on fresh tyres. Phil a further 2 seconds back on fresh tyres. Jane's been in the wars along with Tico. Gavroche as well has struggled for pace. Still crawling around is Zane, but they have almost made it back to the pit lane. That rear right puncture looking, the tyre looking slightly deflated is the best way to put it. Yeah.
But kudos for him for finally getting around despite that, but it will be the end of his race. There'll be no way he gets back into it. He gets waved by the safety car. There'll be no way to come back to this.
So,
Kevin Zuneberg.
20, Dirk, Efferman, White Sheep. Zuneberg is under pressure, surely going to lose 2 places here. Snacks is going to absolutely blast past, and you think RWO6, if they're going to finish in 4th, is going to have to follow in the footsteps of the championship leader. Around the outside, it's Elementary. The Red Bull comes through as well, and that is a couple of places lost for the price of only 1 straight for Zuneberg. An absolute non-contest as the Williams and Red Bull file through. Now, Snacks isn't going to get the DRS, and the Red Bull is, so watch out for that one on the run down into turn 3. Championship leader will be under the microscope, just under 4/10 per second. Good run though, out of turn 2 for Snacks, and that is going to keep the Red Bull in his back pocket for the time being.
Dirk hit the wall for a second there, not the best thing from him. No. Nico's went on softs, which will not work. He cannot score unless there's retirements in front of him. So yeah, it is looking like it will be, the top 10 will be as in unless there's penalties. It's very hard to get penalties here, unless you're Tico, unfortunately.
Served though and got rid of. I must have been collision under the safety car because it was a 10-second time penalty. You wouldn't get that for corner cutting around this venue. Still we soldier on out in front. The 3 Musketeers leading the way. Dirk, Efferman, White Sheep 6.6 seconds clear of the championship leader in position number 4. As we've got a virtual safety car, and I don't know what it's for. Is it Gavroche maybe going slowly? I don't think. Yes, it is Gavroche, missing the entire front wing. So Gavroche has had a chat with the wall somewhere through the castle section, and still no full course caution, but it is a virtual safety car that will neutralise things but not really benefit anybody.
Are they coming in? No, they're not. You're teasing it.
No shot they box here, and they don't. Just trying to dummy each other into the pit lane because, well, it would be cataclysmic. 5 laps to go. You're going to have to make up 15 seconds. Yes, the tyre delta is quite substantial, especially at this stage, but they're only on 6-lap-old hard compound tyres. A second a lap, maybe, is the advantage you'd get.
Oh! White Sheep's hit the back of Melvin! White Sheep hit the back of Melvin. Luckily, I don't see there's be a penalty there. But that was a very close call. Melvin obviously, I don't think it was intentional. He had to slow down to stay within the delta. If you go into negative delta, which is too fast, then you will get a penalty, a drive-through penalty. That's why they slowed down. It wasn't a tactic or anything. Oh, what's happened here? Snatsk and RW6 trading positions went too slow under the safety car because, again, maintaining positive delta, and he's accidentally let his opponent, RW through. The DRS is enabled again. That means the retro safety car has ended, so we go racing once again.
Oh, with a big rear lockup for RW06, lighting up the rear tyres on entry and exit. Zuckerberg in the back of shot doing the same. He tries to plant the loud pedal on the run through 7. And stickers close, stick like glue to the back of Snacks again. Lively the rear of that Red Bull Racing car, pushing very, very hard. Snacks has also had a really good restart, taken over half a second out of the leading trio. They're not going to catch them if the race is green flag to the end, unless we see some dramas on the last lap, maybe some DRS games going on as Dirk tries his best either not to be in the lead or back off and then bolt it through the final braking zone to try and shake Efferman off his tail. But will RW6 try and move forward, take 4th place off the hands of Snacks, or is this another one that we're going to wait and see what happens on lap 26? We're just in a bit of a stalemate at this stage. Further forward, Efferman closing up to the back of Dirk. Does he go for the move? Yes, he does. Look to the inside. Tentative 50-50 send down the inside of 1. Dirk will fight it around the outside. RW06 through as well on Snacks in the battle for 4th and 5th. And Effeland bails out of it through turn 2. Big snap of oversteer as well on the exit. Could be under the cost, but I don't think White Sheep is close enough. Lit up the rear tyres. Big armful of opposite lock. Gaining again as he dumps the battery on the run into 3. That was an interesting little confrontation there between Dirk and Efferman. Sent it to the inside. Felt like he had to. The overspeed was that significant, but then was very, very kind to Dirk into turns 1 and 2.
Yeah, he was.
Oh, he's hit the wall. He's hit the wall, Efferman. That's a big crunch into the barrier. And has he got damage? No, but he did ghost. I think White Sheep clattered the back of the Mercedes also. These drivers playing with fire massively with the walls, getting away with murder at certain times.
Has he got a problem with lag? That might be the problem. He's very shaky around him. And White Sheep's like, hey, give me that position. You're not going anywhere if you're performing like that. Gap now 8/10. This is not good for White Sheep either. He needs to get past immediately, or Dirk's going to win from pole position.
There's a lot of
turn
desyncing
15 now. And, T-Dub's left the session.
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
Can you invite me back, please?
Yeah, sure. Have you got coverage? No.
Well, back we go as we try and get in. As the EA servers say, computer says no, which is absolutely ideal with just a few laps to go. We weren't missing too much, in fairness. There was a lot of lag going on from this POV of Melwin Efferman. But fingers crossed we'll get back in fairly sharpishly with 3 laps to go. And hopefully we don't miss the end of this race. EA servers.
Hello?
Phil, what?
Phil has passed Lars Kramer for 7th place. Down the stretch, 3 laps to go. Still Dirk leads ahead of Melvin Efferman. Melvin Efferman is still trying to get around, trying to get into the lead. White Sheep hanging around behind, all separated by 4.5 tenths, maybe 5. RW is too far behind. He's sliding around on those tyres. Only 4.8 seconds behind and 6 tenths ahead of Snatsk. Kevin Zunneberg lingering in 6th. Phil trying to close him down before the checkered flag falls. Are you back?
I am back in, yes. Very quickly managed to recycle that one so we can continue as we were with 2.5 to go. And Dirk's still in the lead. Have we missed anything? Both Ferraris are on soft tyres. Zane no longer has a puncture. Phil, like you said, ahead of Kramer. Zuckerberg on that one stop, I think he's going to be tumbling 8th place at best, looking like Zuckerberg's only real opportunity.
Right over the crest is White Sheep at turn 15. And now we've got 2 laps to go, so no safety car, so it's pretty much going to be between these 3. Or maybe RW if they all crash into each other. Hopefully not.
Oh, very wide there. Is that Lars Kramer taking a trip off the road? You bet it is Lars Kramer taking a trip off the road. Zane, who's a lap down, says thank you very much. I'll pick that one up. Lars Kramer with damage also. So what's gone on there for the Red Bull racing car? Blunder obviously has happened somewhere in the final sector. But that is a very interesting occurrence. And now there's an extra joker in this pack from 6th down to 8th because Zane on the brand new hard compound tyres trying to work his way through.
Yeah, and Jaden's left the session. Oh no, not now. This might cost him points. How are we getting in?
Moen Efferman was very close to the back of Dirk, and White Sheep's race might be run with 2 to go. Trying to bolt away out in front, Dirk and Efferman with White Sheep left in their wake. 1.2, 1.1 away. This could be the Sauber locking themselves in for 3rd position. Jaden back in. You've done an excellent job of getting going very quickly there. Efferman right in there. White Sheep trying to cling onto the coattails of the leading duo. Will it be enough for the Sauber, or will this be a 2-horse race?
He's losing a lot of time. Did he have an issue earlier on in that lap? Because he is starting to struggle. They're all starting to struggle. These are 9-lap-old hard tyres. The less grippy compound, but the longest lasting. That's the trade-off. That's why they're on it. Through turn 15 for the penultimate times. It starts to get dark here because, of course, it usually gets dark in places, you know. So, and there's a collision in sector 2, and that's RW. He's lost his wing. He's had a collision with turn 15's barriers, and that's ruined his chances of scoring big points.
That's a big one. Further forward, Efferman's not particularly close. White Sheep doesn't have the DRS as we're going to start the last lap of the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. Round 1 in the battle between Dirk and Efferman on the final lap. DRS flap is open into turn 1. Dirk still has things covered for the time being. He'll have to be careful though on the run down into turn 3, where Efferman will have a second bite of the cherry. But you can bet your bottom dollar the Mercedes are going to be happy just to try and sit there in second position. RW06 continues on. Zunenberg with significant wing damage. Both of them going to be tumbling through the field. Efferman once again happy to sit behind.
Yeah, because he knows he just has to make one move and he's through. He gets 6th place and he's trying to close on and hang on for his life, is he? With that battle, with no wing there, but he's going to have to... God, he's completely missed it and he's crashed into the wall. And that will be no points for RW06. Back to the front. I think Dirk has got all zones covered. He just has to bring it home.
Half a lap to go, 9/10 of a second. Dirk has saved up his battery. We're not going to see DRS games because Moen Efferman might not even have the DRS on the run down the main straight.
Oh.
The other question is, has Dirk bolted too early? What are the battery levels? Dirk has got more than Efferman. That could be curtains for Efferman's charge. He's put in a valiant effort. Just 2 more braking zones to negotiate. It's Efferman who whacks the wall through 15. That is probably that for the Silver Arrow, as Dirk through 16 for the final time will keep his foot flat to the floor, and he's survived the assaults from White Sheep, the assaults from Elfyn Efferman. He's navigated this medieval maze of the Baku City Circuit tonight and will emerge crowned the victor in the City of Winds for the second time in as many seasons. He won at Monaco last season. He is the street circuit king. Dirk from pole will take it in Azerbaijan. Efferman and White Sheep will complete your podium. Snacks finishes 4th, the championship leader, but will there be a steward's inquiry after what happened to RW06? Phil under pressure though. Look, coming through is Lars Kramer at the back of this group. Zane's right in there as well, but he's a lap down to the line. Zunenberg couldn't quite take it from Phil. 17 milliseconds the margin. Kramer a further 10th back.
Gone. Hello?
Yes, I mean, all yours.
Oh, so you're cut off there. Yes, Kevin Zunenberg managed to hold on to 6th. Just missed out on 5th, but what a performance on a one-stop strategy. A hard-earned 5 points for him. Dirk wins it though. Somewhat an anti-climax, admittedly. Efferman could not close up to Dirk enough to try and justify a move. He will get 12 points from that. Dirk gets the full docket though. 17 out of 17 for the Racing Bulls driver. He will take full marks home.
He will indeed, as we wait for Nico, who will be the last over the line. A long, long way back from Gavroche. Ferrari score their first points of the season, but it's only 10th and 11th. Both of them struggle for pace. But it is Dirk, Street Circuit King, as he was last season, winning in Monaco, beating the all-conquering Alex Loeffler in the early stages, and he backs it up in Baku a season later to ignite perhaps his championship charge after a non-score in Spain 7 days ago. Atop the podium, wasn't quite the Dutch 1-2 at the end as it was at the start, with Efferman a brilliant drive to second position. But it is Dirk that will take the victors and the flowers in the streets of Baku. The awards, if you're interested, and it's, look at that, it's a sandwich, it's a metropolitan ice cream, look at that. Dirk on the end with cleanest driver and race winner, fastest lap and most overtakes Nico, and right in the centre it's Phil with driver of the day, came home in 5th behind the championship leader Snacks. Zuckerberg on the one-stop strategy could have maybe been better. Lars Kramer, Jane, Tico and Gavroche your top 10. Nico just outside, RWB crashing on the last lap, Zane a couple down after a puncture, Lawrence and Max Bricker failing to see the flag.
Yeah, and no safety cars.
No, had a couple of VSCs, but no full course.
Yeah. Unlike White Sheet's prediction of 3 safety cars, instead he gets 3rd place. But yes, Phil gets driver of the day, although I do think it's Dirk. Dirk held off all the pressure. Nico got the most overtakes and the fastest lap, but I don't think he got anything out of it. No, he did not. No points for him.
Indeed. So that is the second part of our European triple header to kickstart the campaign in the history books. Spain last week, Azerbaijan this week, and next we head to Austria, the Red Bull Ring, the glorified go-kart track, and that is going to be an exciting one. That is another race that is, I believe, a 2-stop strategy masterclass that we saw last season. So the drivers should be expecting some strategical divergence perhaps, and then it will be a break week just after that one as we'll bring the calendar up. You can see there a 7-race run from the middle of March to the end of April. Texas, Netherlands, Brazil, Singapore, Belgium, Abu Dhabi and Saudi Arabia is where we'll be heading around the globe to complete season 42. We're only 2 races in. We're only a 5th of the way through. The championship protagonist still unclear, but it will be Snacks that maintains his lead atop the table with a win and a 4th place backed up this evening, barring, of course, any post-race penalties. But that has been it from us from the Baku City Circuit. Logan, before we go, on the old social medias, where can people check you out if they are interested?
Otaku Logan 2017, and if you want to go on my X, it's 1644 Logan.
Make sure you do that. If you're interested in what I'm doing, wilco.coms on Instagram and TikTok. But thank you everybody for watching. We'll be back in a week's time for the Austrian Grand Prix. That's going to be a barnstormer, I'm sure. But from Baku this evening, from myself and Logan, the victor, it went to Dirk, the Street Circuit King. Won in Monaco last season, wins in Azerbaijan this time. And can he maybe mount a title charge after Max von der Geest's absence, and Snacks with a bit of a messy one this evening. Thank you so much for watching. Before we go, actually, very quickly, can't forget, of course, sim racing setups linked in the description. The best in the business. Pro F1 25 car setups, created and developed by the drivers you see week in, week out at PSGL. All available for £49.99. 27 circuits on the game. That is very, very good value. Simracingsetup.com, linked in the description of the stream. That is where you should be heading. And use the code PSGL as well for a 5% discount. But from myself and Logan, we will see you a week's time in the Styrian hills of Spielberg. Until then, enjoy PC on Thursday. We'll be back in a week's time.